You finally get your voice agent to get on the phone, and then something totally off script happens. Don't worry, you're not alone in that. In this video, I'm going to show you how to structure your prompts in the right way. I'll show you the exact tricks that I use in formatting to get the agent to be faster, better, and provide more accurate responses. And hey, if we haven't met yet, I'm Mo from Story.ai, and we build voice AI agents for small to medium-sized businesses, helping them to scale through avoiding calls that are very repetitive. And if you're exploring voice AI and you want to bounce off ideas for your own business, then I do invite you for a free consultation. I leave links in the description below. With that said, let's dive right in. Prompt engineering, and really it is an art and more than a science in my opinion, because it's really a choice of word that can really impact the way that an LLM is going to react. And it's also an art in that every LLM has its own way of processing information, and just you have to adapt into the way of prompting for each new LLM. So the first tip that I always like to give is to use markdown formatting, because it helps the AI agent to structure the information in a way that is cascading. So you can put headings, you can put bold text, you're able to say H1, H2, this is normal text. So the AI agent can kind of see the hierarchy of the information that you are providing it. So exactly, so you're able to set bold, italics, headers, and why use it is because, as I said, LLMs are able to better interpret the information that you're sending in, and you're able to then create different structures in the prompt that you're giving the LLM. So you can title, for example, instructions, context, examples. So the LLM is able to chunk your prompt into different sections to better use it, or use each section whenever it needs it. Now, markdown in action, you're pretty much able to use bold, for example, for data that you consider important. Headers, as I said, to pretty much structure the information in blocks. And what I recommend actually to use to write, let's say, markdown, is to use a tool called Stack Edit to generally provide a, let's say, visual look on building these markdown formatted prompts. And yeah, overall this looks, or generally the way that it ends up looking, is that you have labeled sections that generally use hashtags for that. So if it's only one hashtag, it's like the heading 1, heading 2 is generally with 2 hashtags, and so on and so forth. And this helps the LLM grasp information better and easily recognize without confusion. So beyond using tools like visual Stack Edit, I do also recommend using ChatGPT actually for writing your markdown or your prompt. And the way that you generally do it is that you perhaps have already a template of prompt. I mean, I provide many templates here for prompts, but you maybe start with a prompt that you have already, and then you put it into ChatGPT, and you start with plain text. And then you ask it, hey, could you please format this into markdown headers, or just tell it to use markdown, and it will go ahead and chunk your information and put it into a markdown formatting. And then you can receive directly information from or the prompt already formatted into markdown from ChatGPT. And now on a another recommendation that generally may not be intuitive at first is the way in which we say positive versus negative instructions. So AI tends to prompts tend to do better when they are framed more in a positive way. So that means, for example, if we're going to say do not use, for example, too many commas, it might overlook that, and it generally performs better when we make the conversation more fluent, for example. Or I generally like to, if I ever want to say do not, I like to exercise myself and just say omit. So use a synonym word in order to just get around the negatively framed prompt. So this generally helps the agent perform better. And another aspect of prompting that is very important is the tokens, the amount of tokens that our prompt consumes. So generally the less wordy and verbose the prompt is, the better it's going to perform. That's generally the rule of thumb. And when it comes to VAPI and retail and the voice agents that we use, I generally like to stay in the mark of 1,500 token limit, because generally I've seen prompts perform better when we stay within that 1,500 token limit. But it would be best that you always review your prompts and see which sections are we able to perhaps chunk down, or rather compress, in that we're able to remove or reduce the amount of words but keep the same meaning. So we're able to be more efficient in our prompt in the way that we're trying to convey what we want. So it's really a way of being efficient with words, pretty much. And AI can still help here, but you need to really be careful that in processing it doesn't change the structure of other sections in the prompt. So it's a double-edged sword, but it's very important that you try to always review your prompt and optimize for efficiency of the words that you use. And yeah, really it's a continuous cycle. So you perhaps start with a prompt, you format it in a way that you apply markdown, and then you try to compress it. That means that we're trying to reduce the amount of words. We test it, we see how it goes, and we just repeat the cycle. At least this has been my experience. I always have, let's say, I like to use FigJam in order to track my prompts. You can also use Google Words, G Sheet or Google Docs in order to just have the different versions of prompts and just note down what is changing when you're testing with them. So it's going to be a constant iteration where you go through this process in order to get to your desired prompt in the end. Alright, so these were a few pointers that I wanted to share. Hope this was helpful. And if you have any questions, I do recommend you post them in the comment section below. I try to be as timely as possible with my answers. And if you have more intricate questions that you want to just discuss with me, I do invite you for a free consultation. I leave links in the description below. And with that said, I thank you so much, and I invite you to watch my next videos.